So then guys, with the release of the new iPhone 16 models, a lot of you are wondering how different is the likes of say the iPhone 16 Pro to last year's iPhone 15 Pro. So with that, I've decided today for you guys, I'm going to compare the iPhone 16 Pro to the iPhone 15 Pro with a review of specs, comparing both of these models to see how different they are. But just before that, so then guys, just quickly, if you didn't know already, I'm actually on vacation at the moment. No lie, I'm actually in Florida right now. I'm not actually in the UK. I'm exploring Disney World and things like this. But something else though, what you might not know, is actually my Mac is also on vacation with Clean My Mac X. My Mac isn't doing so many of its usual sort of video creating tasks and all the usual bits and pieces I do with it. In fact, I'm running Clean My Mac X right now to do things like clean up my system junk, optimize the speed, and just do general maintenance that I've been neglecting for so long. You could actually say that my Mac is having a Macation, as it were, instead of a vacation. Well, it's really good to know that when I do go back to work, that my Mac will be really fast again and all my files and all my junk will be cleared out. The other great news is that while I'm relaxing here on vacation, any malware or anything like that that tries to attack my Mac, I know that Clean My Mac X has got me fully covered. And also, while I'm at it, I can also check out and chill, that I know my CPU is not going to be overloaded, that I can keep an eye on it, and also that my battery is also in good health with the battery monitor. And if you want to be like me on your next vacation, or maybe on vacation right now, where you just want to sort out your Mac whilst you're just relaxing yourself and your Mac's not doing its usual sort of daily sort of tasks, make sure you check out Clean My Mac X, and especially that right now that Clean My Mac X are actually offering you 20% off their subscription plans, and all you have to do is just put in the code MACTech, what you can see what's being shown on the screen right now. So with that, I'm going to relax a bit more, but just before that, let me show you the rest of today's video. So then, next of all, let's compare the specs then, this review of specs. So we have the iPhone 16 Pro on the left, and we have the iPhone 15 Pro on the right here. And let's first of all have a look at the display type. So the display type for both these phones is very, very similar. We've got an OLED XDR display on both of these phones. There's no differences here whatsoever. They're exactly the same type of screen in these. So yeah, nothing different there. But the actual screen sizes though, this is where there is a difference this year. Apple managed to make the bezels, the border, whatever you want to call it, around the edge of the iPhone even thinner for the iPhone 16 Pro. And in fact, they've made the iPhone 16 Pro ever so slightly larger in its size, and because of this now we actually have a 6.3 inch display over the iPhone 15 Pro's 6.1 inch display. So it's slightly bigger here, but you know, you're not really going to feel the difference in your hand, but you do get a bigger display, which is really, really cool. And actually the screen resolution here, well, it does actually give a bit of a factor difference here. The actual ratio is exactly the same, so it's a 19 by 5 by 9 on both these phones, but the resolution, as you can see right here, because we've got a slightly bigger screen, the iPhone 16 Pro has 2622 by 1206, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro is 2566 by 1179. And just in case you're wanting to know how clear this means on both these screens, well, in the pixels per inch, as you can see right here, they are identical. Literally that high resolution is just to equate for that 6.3 inch display. So we're getting 460 pixels per inch on both of these phones. The clarity is exactly the same on that. And even to do with the actual display refresh rate, this is exactly the same again. The display refresh rate is up to 120 Hz with that Pro Motion display in both of these, and these can go all the way down to 1 Hz, what is really, really awesome to see. So really, really sharp display there. And then moving over to the actual screen brightness, well, we actually have got the same amount of brightness in both of these phones too. They can actually go up to 2000 nits outdoors, but one little party trick I'd say about the 16 Pro, it can actually go down to 1 nit at night time. So if you're sitting in bed looking at your phone, you can actually pull this right down to 1 nit, what is pretty impressive. But then moving over to the processor and the CPU, well, there are some differences here. What we actually have in the iPhone 16 Pro is the newer A18 Pro 6-core CPU and also a 6-core GPU and a 16-core neural engine. Now this may be the exact same amount of cores as we got in the iPhone 15 Pro, as you can see right here with the A17 Pro. One of the big differences is that Apple have actually said that the A18 Pro can actually do all of the tasks what the A17 Pro can do, but far more efficient, yet be even more powerful. It's on average about 20% more efficient across, the CPU, the GPU, and everything, but yet even more powerful than the A17 Pro. It's really impressive, what we will see a bit later on with the actual battery life, because it's a big factor of this. Then for the actual RAM amount, well, the RAM amount is quite impressive too. Well, both these phones actually have 8 GB of RAM inside of them, and this will help out with Apple Intelligence that we'll talk about a little bit later on. And then for the actual storage amounts, well, there's no differences here whatsoever. We've actually got the same 128 GB option going all the way up to 1 TB option on both of these phones, which is really cool. There's no expansional storage sort of slots, but there is obviously the USB slot, what we'll talk about a little bit later on to expand your storage. For operating system, we get iOS 18 on both of these phones, which is really, really great to see. But what I would say is with the iPhone 16 Pro, you're probably going to get an extra year's kind of software updates and security updates, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro will get 1 year less. The iPhone 15 Pro right now will get about 6 years, whereas the 16 Pro will get about 7 years with this. But then, moving over then to the battery life, and this is what I was talking about earlier with the A18 Pro and how this helps so much here. And that is that the iPhone 16 Pro has an up to 27-hour battery life compared to the iPhone 15 Pro's 23-hour battery life. Now, what I mean by the battery life here is that if you had a video playing on your iPhone, and this was locally stored on the iPhone, and you had the brightness and the loudness set exactly the same on both the iPhones, and just let it play here, then obviously the iPhone 16 Pro could get up to 27 hours battery life compared to the iPhone 15 Pro. It would only get 23 hours of battery life. And in fact, that 27 hours battery life is very close to what even the iPhone 15 Pro Max had last year. That could get up to 29 hours battery life, and that was a Pro Max model. So we're closing on there. And even the actual batteries have actually got slightly bigger, as you can see right here. So the iPhone 16 Pro now has a 3,355 milliamp battery, and the iPhone 15 Pro has a 3,290 milliamp battery inside of it. So it's only slightly bigger, but it does actually help with that battery life. But like I said, most of the efficiencies here are coming from that A18 Pro. Moving over then to wired and wireless charging, there is a difference here. Wired charging now on the iPhone 16 Pro can actually go up to 45 watts. So if you do plug in a 45 watt charger or above, 50 watt, 60 watt, whatever, then you can get that speed. It's really good to, fill up that battery really quickly. Whereas we've only still got the 27 watts on the iPhone 15 Pro. But more impressively is the wireless charging. So this is to do with the MagSafe charging. Apple brought out a brand new MagSafe charger, and they've said that if you plug their new MagSafe charger into a 30 watt charger or above, so it's got to be 30, 40, it can't be a 25 or 20, then you could actually get 25 watts of MagSafe charging through that. Whereas the iPhone 15 Pro, that only still has the standard 15 watt wireless charging that we've had ever since, say, the iPhone 12 sort of series. Moving over then to the actual weight, well, the iPhone 16 Pro has put on a tiny bit of weight, and I think one of the main factors behind this is probably that brand new camera lens to do some better zoom there, but we'll talk about in just a second. But obviously it's not that much difference. It's 187 to 199 grams, and to put that into perspective for you, that's probably about the weight of a screen protector. So if you had a tempered glass screen protector and put that on your iPhone 16 Pro, that is about the weight extra you're getting compared to the iPhone 15 Pro. It's not a lot at all, really. So yeah, it's good to know that. Then next of all, we've got the water resistant. Water resistance exactly the same on both of these phones. So if you dropped it into clear, clean water, as it were, you can drop it up to 6 meters, and as long as you rescue it within 30 minutes, there shouldn't be any damage there to both of these phones. Then moving on to ports. So with ports here, we've both got USB-C ports on this. Now, there's something I mentioned earlier about expansional storage. What you can actually do is plug in an external hard drive by USB-C into both of these phones, like an SSD. And the great thing is you can actually transfer at USB 3 speed. So you can actually transfer at 10 gigabits per second on either of these phones to transfer files. So that's really handy to know that you can do that. And then for stereo speakers, well, we've actually got 2 stereo speakers on both these phones, so there's no difference here whatsoever. And then moving over to Apple Intelligence, we do have Apple Intelligence on both of these phones, which is really great news. So all the features that you saw at WWDC, you can get them on either of these phones. But obviously the iPhone 16 Pro has 1 or 2 extra little more features too, but not too many, I would say, with artificial intelligence or Apple Intelligence there. Moving over to Bluetooth speeds, they're exactly the same here. They both got Bluetooth 5.3, so there's no differences here in that kind of connectivity. And then with Wi-Fi, we do have a little bit of an upgrade here. We've gone from Wi-Fi 6E in the iPhone 15 Pro all the way up finally up to Wi-Fi 7 in the iPhone 16 Pro. So that's good to see that we've got that upgrade there. Then for the rear cameras then, well, obviously on paper here they don't look that much different, but they actually do make a lot of difference here. We've got a 48 megapixel wide sensor, but the one in the 16 Pro is slightly different and better to the one in the 15 Pro, but we've also got a 48 megapixel ultra wide for the first time now in a Pro phone, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro has only got a 12 megapixel inside of it. And the same with the telephoto. It might say it's 12 megapixel on both of them, but the iPhone 16 Pro at last can go up to a 5 times zoom now with that Terra Prism kind of zoom telephoto ability, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro can do a 3 times zoom there. We can record up to 4K video on either of these phones, but you can do that new cinematic 4K 120 frames per second recording here with the iPhone 16 Pro, but you know you do get the LiDAR sensor on both of the phones. For the front cameras though, you get the selfie camera, what is a 12 megapixel 4K on both of them, so no differences there whatsoever. Then next of all, we've actually got the price. Now, funny enough, again, Apple have retained the price for another year. So to get the baseline 128 gigabyte model, either an iPhone 16 Pro or the iPhone 15 Pro, it costs $999 US, what is really, really great to see. Then finally, let's have a look at the color differences, what you can pick from. There are 4 colors. They're exactly the same. Well, I say they're exactly the same. They look slightly different on the iPhone 16 Pro with the black, the white, and the natural. But the main kind of standout color this year for the iPhone 15 Pro was the titanium blue, but we've actually got the titanium desert, or desert titanium as Apple like to call it. And that's the actual differences there in the actual colors. And with that then, guys, which iPhone model will you be buying? So there we have it then, guys. There are a few differences, I would say, between the 15 and the 16 Pro. I would say mainly it's to do with that battery life, and I would also say it's mainly to do with the screen size. Obviously, you know, there's some nice bonus extras there with the ultra wide camera being 48 megapixel, you know, 5 times zoom, helping out there. But really, that is it. There's not that much difference between both of them, I would say. And I would say if you got yourself a 15 Pro on a really good deal right now, because you're Apple trying to get rid of them, you know, at the stock out of them, and you can get a really good deal, I'd pick one of them. But if you're desperate to get the latest and the greatest, there's still nothing wrong with getting a 16 Pro because they're still great phones. And at the end of the day, like I did say, both these phones are going to be supported for a long, long time into the future. So yeah, the choice is completely up to you. But what are your thoughts on this? What one would you pick? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And with that as well, guys, it's time to wrap up this video. So if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button. Also, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews, and comparisons too, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I'll see you really soon. Take care. Bye bye.